The cords that bound Satan will finally break after 1,000 years in the depths of eternity. He will traverse the earth after being freed from his hellish captivity, seducing the nations of every continent and gathering them into a legion as large as the sands for a catastrophic conflict. They will encircle the camp of the righteous across the vastness of the earth, and as they prepare for battle, the skies will unleash almighty fury. They will be engulfed in a river of fire that will descend from God's own hand, devouring their evil souls. But the devil, the master of deception, will have no chance of escape because he has been put into the pit of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet endure an endless cycle of suffering. The earth and the sky will flee, taking no refuge before a great white throne. Both the great and the humble deceased will stand before divine judgment, having their life revealed in the reckoning books. The dead will rise from the sea's depths, from the grave, and even from hell itself, each to be judged according to their acts as the world quakes under the shadow of an end-of-the-world scenario. According to Revelation 20 verses 1 to 13, both mankind and fallen angels will meet this end. Since God did not spare the angels who sinned but delivered them into shackles of darkness, to be reserved for judgment, you are aware that the angels held captive in Tartarus were held captive in chains of the darkest eternity and without mercy, 2 Peter 2 verse 4. But in Revelation, they were briefly set free and appeared as scorpions, Revelation 9 verses 3 to 10. But doesn't this raise 4 problems? Questions often arise like, how is this avoided if they are always in darkness, and how are their chains released, when an angel from heaven opens the abyss to let them out for 5 months to punish people on earth? Another question is, when the 5 months have gone, are they then sent back to Tartarus? They will ultimately be thrown into the lake of fire. But since there is no darkness in the lake of fire, how are these fallen angels ceasing to live in the greatest darkness? As the fallen angels in the abyss are freed, enormous billows of black smoke appear. Smoke causes the appearance of fire as well. In light of this, wouldn't these fallen angels have been present inside the flames before emerging? First, if the captive fallen angels are the locusts of Revelation 9 verse 3, they will be released from this never-ending darkness for a period of 5 months. James must be concerned that there will always be darkness. But it is not the problem at hand. Even if the fallen angels' eternal fate is to live in darkness, this does not preclude them from experiencing brief periods of freedom from it. The majority of academics think that the so-called locusts are actually demons that have traveled to Tartarus or the abyss. However, in my opinion, demons are not fallen angels and they are not presently imprisoned in Tartarus, as stated in Luke 8 verse 31. According to 2 Peter 2 verse 4, these locusts symbolize the imprisoned fallen angels at this time. They might have been original beings created at the moment and released from Tartarus, although that seems unlikely. Second, if these locusts represent the fallen angels who have been imprisoned in slavery since Genesis 6, it is most plausible that they are immediately returned to shackles in Tartarus, even though we are not told. Third, the lake of fire is described as the blackness of darkness forever, in Jude 13 and 2 Peter 2 verse 17. The unbelieving false teachers in 2 Peter 2 and Jude are the individuals for whom the blackness of darkness is kept for forever. Think of a nighttime volcano eruption. The lava's exploding flames would break through the darkness. That, in my opinion, is the lake of fire's idea. It will, in my opinion, be a planet with lava flows rather than vast aquatic bodies. Satan, the fallen angels, demons, and unbelievers will reside in the country encircled by burning seas. There, night would undoubtedly never end. All of their time will be spent in the darkness, where they choose it over the light. There is a common misconception that those who are currently in Tartarus or Hades are in some way aflame. That is not mentioned in the Bible. It is supposed that both the people of Tartarus and the fallen angels in Hades live in a fiery environment. They are not surrounded by fire. They are in a hot environment. Tartarus is mentioned in both the Hellenistic Jewish literature derived from the Greek text of the Book of Enoch, which dates from 400 to 200 BC, and the Septuagint's translation of Job 40 verse 20 and 41 verse 24 into Koine Greek. This means that Tartarus and the universe were both given to the archangel Uriel by God, according to Job 20 verse 2. It's widely believed that Tartarus is home to 200 fallen watchers, angels. Jude 1 verses 6 to 7, which speaks of angels bound in chains under everlasting darkness, and 2 Peter 2 verse 4, which also speaks of fallen angels bound in chains in Tartarus, are both referring to the Book of Enoch's watchers. Tartarus makes a brief appearance in the apocryphal Gnostic work Hypostasis of the Archons, sometimes translated as Reality of the Rulers, when Z, life, the daughter of Sophia, knowledge, casts Ialdabaoth, demiurge, to the bottom of Tartarus abyss. In the Book of Thomas, Jesus asserts that those who hear Judas Thomas's message and turn away or sneer would be sent to Tartaros. These cursed will be received by Tartarukos, the angel of strength. The verb tartaro, a shortened version of the phrase, row down to Tartarus, does appear in 2 Peter 2 verse 4, despite the word Tartarus does not appear in the New Testament. Additional sources cited by Liddell Scott for the shortened form of this verb include Acusilus, 5th century BC, Jonas Laurentius Leidus, 4th century AD, and the Scholiast on Aeschylus Eumenides, which quotes Pindar and describes how the earth attempted to Tartaro, cast down Apollo after he defeated the Python. Classical literature frequently refer to the Titans being flung into Tartarus in reference to the longer form kata tartaro. For if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell and committed them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until the judgment, 2 Peter 2 verse 4, footnote, Greek Tartarus, the English Standard Version is one of several English translations to do so. Adam Clarke hypothesized that Peter's use of Titanic-related vocabulary was evidence that the Greeks were aware of the biblical punishment for fallen angels. Some evangelical Christian scholars regard Gehenna as a place for evil humans and Tartarus as a place for evil angels based on this scripture. To clarify why certain fallen angels are imprisoned in Tartarus while others are not, additional evangelical interpretations attempt to distinguish between several types of fallen angels. The deep chasm that serves as both the Titan's prison and a place of torment and suffering for the wicked is known as Tartarus in Greek mythology. Around 400 BC, Tartarus was the place where the guilty received divine punishment and where after death, souls were judged, according to Plato's Gorgias. Hesiod's Theogony names the Tartarus as one of the earliest creatures to have ever existed, that is love, along with chaos, Gaia, the earth, and Eros. Tartarus was the third primordial god in the Greek poet Hesiod's Theogony, appearing after chaos and Gaia but before Eros. He was the father of Typhon by Gaia. Hyginus said that Tartarus was the child of Ether and Gaia. Roman mythology holds that those who violate the moral standards of the day by committing sin are punished by being sent to Tartarus after they die. Virgil gives a thorough depiction of Tartarus in Book 6 of the Aeneid. That was, as he called it, expansive. The Phlegethon, a blazing river, flows outside its 3 boundary walls. Atop a hydra with 50 dark, gaping fangs, a gate that screeches when opened further hinders escape. Adamantine columns, which are uncuttable and as hard as diamond, are placed all around them. Within Tartarus's borders lies a sizable fortress with iron turrets and thick walls. Tisiphone, a member of the Erinyes and the symbol of wrath, keeps watch atop the tower despite having problems falling asleep. The pit is twice as deep as the distance between Earth's surface and Olympus, according to Roman legend. It was said that the twin sons of the Titan Aloeus were at the bottom of this hole. According to Plato in 427 BC, the judges of the deceased were Rhadamanthus, Aeacus, and Minos, and they chose who went to Tartarus. Asian souls were judged by Rhadamanthus, European souls by Aeacus, and Greek souls were judged by Minos. Souls thought to be unfair or dishonest were sent to Tartarus. There, crimes thought to be curable would be purified, while those believed to be uncurable would end in eternal damnation and serve as a warning to the living. In Gorgias, Socrates is depicted by Plato as telling Callicles that doing injustice to others is worse than receiving injustice and that most of the irreparable Tartarians were dictators whose power gave them the chance to commit horrific crimes. Callicles is of the opinion that power always wins. Thersites' weakness is seen to make him treatable, and Archelaus I of Macedon is suggested as a possible example. The uncurable were depicted as temple robbers and murderers in Plato's Phaedo, but involuntary manslaughters and sons who killed one of their parents in a fit of passion but regretted it their entire lives would be released from Tartarus after a year so they may beg their victims for forgiveness. They were freed if they had been pardoned, if not, they would go back and stay there until they had. In the Republic, Plato makes reference to the myth of Aer, a fallen soldier who awoke from the dead and beheld their nation. According to this, an adult who has committed numerous murders, betrayed armies or states, sold people into slavery, or engaged in other similar wrongdoings will spend 10 times as much time in Tartarus as they would on earth, while good deeds will be rewarded equally. Thank you for watching.